Camosun College in Victoria, BC, Canada. www. Camosun, CA Comics. Camosun College. Program. In. Images copyright 2013 by their respective owners. Val Napoleon. Jim Henshaw. Ken Stacey. Janine Johnston. Simon Roy. UVIC Indigenous Law Research Clinic. Presents. MIKOMOSIS. Wetiko. And. The. My name is Headache Cho Big Headache. I'm a new trickster born of international indigenous feminist consciousness, and I'm here to say that we need to create space in the world for indigenous law. Today, to make this argument, there is no better example than the case of MIKOMOSIS. Wetiko. And. The winter of 1878 in northern Alberta has been bitterly cold, and the Nehiyaw Cree people suffer greatly. The people are starving. The caribou, even the rabbits, have failed them. And the ice on the lake is so thick that the whitefish have fled to its deepest waters. Even a great hunter like Miko Moses returns empty-handed, day after day. The healer Mistaininnew. He is called Fancyman because he has adopted the dress of the white men. He dreams and prays for better hunting, and he asks his chief to make the people understand they must endure another night with only bitter moss and lichen tea, while their children chew strips of leather to fight their hunger. Each night Miko Moses meets with the chief and medicine people. But hunger has become the least of the chief's worries. She had been named Sap was Te for the light which once shone from her eyes. But that brightness has dimmed. For one among the Nehiyaw people suffers more than the others. For some time she has not spoken to her parents nor shown any interest in looking after her only child. And then one day, before their eyes, Sap was Te has become dangerous, perhaps the most frightening thing the Nehiyaw people can imagine. A lost soul. A Wetiko. For while the Wetiko is a legendary terror and demon of the woods with many forms, it is also an affliction well known to indigenous peoples. A sickness often born of hunger, cold, and the long darkness, which can bring not only madness, but a hunger for human flesh. Sap was Te shivers and grinds her teeth through a night of fitful sleep, convincing many that Wetiko ice is already forming in her heart. Meanwhile, the chief consults with her family, Mistaininnew, and an elder. Mistaininnew tells him none of his cures have worked. And now, the woman has bitten his hand, a sure sign to him that she has a Wetiko's taste for humans. At dawn, Miko Moses is told he will not hunt today. For the good of the many and the well-being of the people, he has another task to perform. The Nehiyaw people understand that is a final resort. Sapwas Te must be killed to release her from misery and to keep the people safe, and so she is gently placed on a blanket. A cotton cloth wraps her throat so the rope will not cut her. She does not struggle, perhaps knowing the release from her suffering is at hand. There is no bloodlust here. There is only an honestly held belief, the will of the people, and legal obligation. Sap was Te is laid on a bed of birch bark in a shallow pit and covered with more birch bark. Her body is burned so her true spirit is finally free. If the Northwest Territories had no Indians, Ottawa would have no need of the Northwest Mounted Police Commissioner. And that means you better damn well start enforcing white man's law out there. Although he has only fulfilled Cree law, MIKOMOSIS will carry what he has done for the rest of his days. And 3,000 miles away, a new law will make his punishment worse. With the coming of spring, the Nahia people trade furs for tea, tobacco, and supplies. Take 2 men, and don't come back without him. And during trading, the story of the cold winter and the killing of the Wetiko is told. And it is soon decided to make an example of MIKOMOSIS. MIKOMOSIS is arrested, charged with murder, and taken to Fort Edmonton for trial. The trial is short. MIKOMOSIS has obeyed Cree law. But only white man's law matters here. He is found guilty and sentenced to death. Mico Moses, the great hunter of the Nehiyaw people, is hanged on the last day of summer, leaving no one to care for his wife and children or his people in the coming winter. Now, we're in Cree lands with Cree peoples and the magic time traveling court is called to order. The magic what? 3 lawyers will argue the case. And they will cite their sources. There will be no making it up here. We are on Cree lands, so we will follow Cree law and legal processes. We will investigate how Mico Moses would have been dealt with according to Cree law. Not all Wetiko cases resulted in death, the majority were cured, so we have to examine this case carefully. Cree lawyer. Buffalo woman. Represents the Cree Law and Gender Division of the court. VUNTUT Gwichin. Lawyer, following son. Represents the ancestors and spirit of MIKOMOSIS. But we'll begin with Loon woman. GITKSAN lawyer. Representing the ancestors and spirit of SAP was Tay. Proceed, counselor. My primary concern is the failure to provide help to SAP was Tay before she became dangerous. Wetiko sickness was feared. EVERY. One knew the symptoms. Yet when she spoke of her nightmares and growing sadness, they did nothing. Someone becoming a Wetiko can recover with help. But this was denied. SAP was Tay. And Cree Legal Prin. CIPLES governing such obligations are founded on community safety and respect for the afflicted. Very good. My second concern was that only one elder was consulted. I understand that there are 4 groups of decision makers in the Cree legal order: medicine people, elders, family members, and the larger group. Yes, but my point is that there should have been more than one elder. The requirement is 4 elders, not elder. And furthermore, when there are concerns about community safety, the whole community has to be consulted. The principles I outlined are critical if Cree law is to be accountable, principled, legitimate, and collaborative. Well said. And how does the representative for MIKOMOSIS respond? MIKOMOSIS was chosen by SAP was Tay's family, chosen not only because of his strength and leadership but for his fairness and compassion. In a lot of ways he was just like me. Let's stick with your client, shall we? I concede my colleagues' points about Cree legal obligations. But when Mico Moses was asked to help, he also became obligated according To Cree Law. SAPWASTE attacked her child in Mistane. NINEW could find no medicine power to relieve the Wetiko symptoms. He was wise and he determined that she was beyond recovery. The terrible events with SAP was Tay happened quickly. The people responded properly and with kindness. They followed the necessary steps and Tay was prevented from causing further harm. Buffalo woman, what do you have to add? In the time they had, the family and people did all they could. Those are my submissions, Madam Chief Justice. Mikomosis was also renowned as a wise leader and deeply respected. So was the chief. When people face a serious threat, there is precedent for relying on the wisest ones at hand. It is my job to explore how Cree laws are gendered and investigate the ways Cree women experience law in their lives. Law is a way of responding to human problems. And violence against women is a problem both now and in the time of SAP. WAST and MIKOMOSIS. Forever skirted and idealized as one-dimensional mothers, princesses, or whores. We must push legal analysis and discourse beyond the pervasive stereotypes of Cree women. We don't know SAPWAST's story, and that is a serious omission in today's proceedings. WHO was she respected and safe? Was she judged more harshly because she was a mother? WHO hurt her child. Gender dynamics mean power dynamics. Cree men and women share similar experiences and challenges. Nonetheless, there are differences that are important to Cree Law. Cree Law, like any other law, is about contestation, collective problem solving, and collaborative management. Large groups and subjects like that always make me hungry. Let's take a break for some fresh bannock and moose meat. Thank you. This court has not been convened to advocate murder now or in the past. It seeks to assist the articulation and practice of Cree Law. What we have heard here is an example of how Cree Law might be engaged and argued one way, one method, that is all. Madam Chief Justice, I want to speak. My name is Authentic. I am an elder and I want to be heard by this court. All right, Mr. Authentic. What would you like to discuss? I have many serious concerns. This is too much like Canadian law, colonized law. Too much intellectual and not enough spiritual. There is no grounding in anything the lawyers said. We have no written history. We don't know what pre-contact Cree Law really was. And you could be perverting it just by the way you talk about it. What you say is true. Those are the questions which have always paralyzed serious and practical engagement with Indigenous law. So let's talk about them. Get them out in the open and make sure there is no privileging of unquestioned truths. There is room in the world for many ideas about Cree Law. Indigenous law has to be robust enough to do the hard work of law today. It can't live in the past. WHO gets to say what Cree Law is. Can people deliberate law from another society? We do it every day in Canadian courts. But we must develop an understanding of law across social boundaries so we can argue on an intersocietal basis. WHO or the Wetikos today. How can we protect those we love from those we love? Yes. Indigenous law Must deal with that kind of danger, harm, and injury. What are the currencies of POW? In the discourse of Aboriginal law, and how do they operate? There has to be space for Indigenous ways of teach ing and practices of law in Indigenous communities and in the rest of Canada too. These conversations are going on now, and we need to listen for them and hear their words. And we need to make room for constructive disagreement. At the heart of it all is the need to reason from shared expertise and judge what the COMMU NITI regards as reasonable. Too bad it will all come too late to save MIKOMOSIS. Well, I did say this was a magic, time-traveling court. So let's time travel. Indigenous lawyers, make your case. This is the country of the Cree, whose own laws must have a place in their own villages and territories. This is a dignified man WHO has suffered because he fulfilled his legal obligations under Cree law. We have to figure out the relationship between Cree law and Canadian law. Engaging in the processes of Indigenous law is to engage in the responsibility and work of being a citizen, individually and collectively. NOTGUILTY. Because we now fully understand the Cree law that was followed, we find the accused that thing can take us back where we came from, right?